Most people do it just like it. I don't want to do, I don't want to do it. So I can get some of the new thing. In one position.
It is 7 o'clock. We will call the meeting to order. Are there any changes or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Approval of the minutes from January 26, 2026.
Feels like it was just last week.
Any changes or corrections to the minutes? I did not see anything. Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Support. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is carried. Citizen comments. Any comments from the citizens? Anything you want to talk about?
Is this for, the cell tower or the mining operation?
This is just for any matter. We'll get to the cell tower and might, later.
Okay.
Hearing none, we'll move on to the first public hearing, special use 180, the proposed cell tower for the bridge on Adams and Bender. And
Warriors.
Joe, if you can, looking over for you over there. Bring,
It's also approval of the special site plan, right? When we do a special use, we also approve the site plan, 131, correct?
Yes.
It's written, yeah.
okay. So, special use 180, site plan 131.
The site plan committee was Brian and myself, we've met with Todd, so
Right.
pretty much everything we'd have had, he's got in the report, the exact same thing.
We still have
But
to
yeah, we
follow the
Get
procedure.
a record.
back in, I believe, December, Brian Whitley reached out to us, worrying about, putting a cell tower up out on Bender Road, 3247 Bender Road, for Finger's farm. And looking at the ordinance, special land use, of course, so we got all the paperwork filled out, submitted this packet. Site plan, we met with Todd Borman. There's a few questions that came up that, were addressed. I know I talked with Ryan this morning on a couple items that he clarified for me, and I believe Todd had some conversation with him as well. So I know one of the questions was cohabitating on the tower. He said they did look into that, but due to the height, apparently the tower's only 100 feet, I think, and Verizon wanted 199 feet, like to request.
I think it's about 150.
100, okay,
It
my
was
bad,
the existing
shorter
one.
than what you want.
Right.
So yeah, they did look into that. Here we are with the paperwork for the application for placing the tower out there on the property.
And, do you have anything you would like to add?
Can answer any questions if you have any. I don't think we need to go through piece by piece in my review unless you'd like to.
Right.
Other than the fact, structural review is not part of that review, I just clarify. So, and I do recommend having a performance bond that for of the unit. Ryan and I talked a little bit this morning about what the amount for the performance bond would be. He can provide me information on the estimate.
Yeah. All right, we'll hear from you, right?
Good evening, my name is Ryan Whitley, with Kinley Horn. We have a business address, 500 East 96th Street in Indianapolis. And I am here on behalf of Vertical Bridge and Verizon to seek approval for a special use to construct a The lease area itself is 80 by 80, 75 by 75 will be fenced. The tower itself will be a self-support, 195 feet tall with a 4-foot lightning rod. Overall height of 199. The reason they do that is anything under 200 feet does not have to be lit per the FAA. We're going to be using existing roads to access the facility. It is behind one of their large barns. One of the things that I did ask in regard to, and I know it is in the ordinance, in regard to the landscaping, we were asking for a waiver from it, only from the sense of the Wangers have horses that are in that barn, and there is a smaller fenced-in area. I don't know how big the area is, but horses are out there grazing or whatever it is that they do, and most likely will destroy whatever it is that we plant within that fenced area. So that's your determination. If you guys would like us to put them in, we will. We're just trying to potentially save everybody some headache. Other than that, as Todd had indicated, Verizon does look to find existing towers if they can. It's about half the costs and about half the time for them to get on air. So they did look at the water tower. Unfortunately, it just simply is not tall enough to meet the network requirements for Verizon. Which is why we were tasked to go find a site to potentially build one. Do you guys have questions for me? I provided a fairly large packet. I just didn't know if there was anything that somebody saw that they wanted to ask a question or discuss.
I do have a question. In your responses, in our section 19.31, the qualifying conditions and special performance standards, it talks about the tower being set back from all property lines, a distance equal to its height, and being able to withstand high winds. This is going to be behind a barn. And is it going to be far enough away from the barn that if it were some ungodly reason, lightning strikes it and it falls over, is it going to hit the barn?
I don't know that we can answer that at this point, only because typically if we need to have a fall zone letter, the engineers can design it pretty much to fall whatever distance they need. In this particular instance, we did not seek a fall zone letter because we were so far away from any parcel line. The barn itself is used for livestock. So I don't know if I could answer that. I don't know what design they did and what fall zone that has at its existing moment. If you're telling me that's something that's required, we would need to let.
No, it isn't required, but I just, it's not going to hit the road, but it could hit a structure.
Just so you guys understand how these things are typically designed for a cell tower, and it is to over-design the lower portion of the tower. And whatever, they're not designing it to fail, but the upper section where it meets the lower section is where they typically make it the weakest. It's designed that way. It will collapse on itself and fall over.
Okay.
If it detaches itself from that, whatever it is that knocked it down is gonna be providing much worse than a tower fall.
Yeah.
These are designed at 106 or 107 miles an hour.
Okay.
That's with no ice. And I think they do it 60 or 70 with ice.
Okay. Okay.
So they're pretty rigorously tested.
All right. I just had that question.
You're right, we're gonna use the existing farm drive going in.
That is correct.
So is it just gonna be in looking right away with the windows have them?
It's a non-exclusive easement that we build in from the right of way all the way back, the path that we're gonna use. So anybody can use it. It just gives Vertical Ridge legal access.
Todd, one of the things you mentioned in your letter was possibly considered an easement on the west side. So if they were ever to split the property, nobody could build within that area. Can that be done at the time of the land division. The land division's gotta come before us for the land division, so could we require that as part of the land, and maybe that's a question for Jeff.
I think you can condition, that you can make that a condition, that it would have to come back and get approval from the planning commission. If that's what you're inclined to do.
Well, instead of requiring the easement, just require that any land division, that they would have.
Subject to review and approval by the planning commission.
And that would be, and more for the.
Ultimately, what you're asking for is a 200-foot setback.
Right.
Right.
Okay. That answers your question, instead of having to go through the whole easement process now, it's something that might not ever happen.
Because I'm assuming they'd have to replat it if they tried to turn that into
Right.
a subdivision neighborhood, and there's, you guys pretty much have carte blanche on that, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't think there's not. General.
Any other commissioner questions?
Any feedback from?
I've had nothing. I've had 0 for it. I've had 0 against.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will open up the public hearing, public comment period. Okay. So we'll open that at 7:11. Anyone here wishes to speak to the cell tower? Hearing none, we'll close the public comment at 7:11. Any other commissioner questions or comments?
We need to set an amount for the performance bond prior to.
I can probably weigh in a little bit on this. Then it's obviously, once again, up to your discretion, which you would like to be at. We just recently had to do a performance bond for Deep River Township, just a little bit west of Standish. There had been a quote that was done. They used that. They didn't actually come back out and re-quote the exact tower, but it was a very similar tower. That one came in at $50,000 for the removal of that tower. And the township accepted that as the bond. We're happy to do that. If there's another number that you guys come up with, we're happy to provide what it is that you guys need.
Any comments on that, Todd?
I would prefer to have an administrative, fee, I guess you would say, acting on a performance bond has its own cost. The other thing is $50,000 today is something else in 10 years, so to have some sort of adjustment or cushion to be able to have that, room to act on and inflate would be preferable.
Jeff?
So sometimes in circumstances like this, it may be, assuming you want to move forward tonight, just condition it on establishment of a mutually satisfactory bond fee, or performance guarantee, reviewed and approved by staff.
The only other comment I want to make, and you brought up the landscape screening. I did drive out there to look at the property, and you can't see where that's going to be because of the barns. You know, the residential is quite a ways away anyways, but even with all the barns in the way, you're not going to see anything out there. So I don't see any issue with waiving the requirement for the landscape screening.
I'm not trying to cause difficulty. I wasn't able to find in a quick review the special land use standards, the ability of the planning commission to waive those standards. I think this is one that's specific to cell towers. So to the extent, I think staff's heard what you just said, I would recommend you basically condition the landscaping on the staff's review and approve based on.
Okay. We have you here. Any other commissioner questions or? Questions? Someone like to make a motion?
Well, the motion has to include all of the conditions, correct? That includes the conditions, and so I'm just wanting to make sure that I have all of the conditions.
Since 1913.
Okay, so the special performance standards is what we're looking for, and there are 25 of them. 22 is the one that relates to the performance guarantee. And that would be the one that we would amend to, reviewed and approved by,
Yeah, my suggestion was, rather than try to set an amount now, just have, would be conditioned on a performance guarantee, a mutually acceptable performance guarantee in an amount and form as determined by staff.
Diane, get that? Did Sandy get that?
I'm hoping Diane did.
We all got it, but we didn't.
Okay.
Okay, conditional on mutual.
Usually agree.
Mutual agreed on amount. Reviewed and approved by staff. And was there anything additional from, pods that needs to be included? He mentions a performance guarantee, which is number 22.
We have to add the condition, regarding any future land vision must come before the
Yeah.
planning commission.
Any future land division has a couple of planning commission.
That would make that number 26 though, right?
Right.
Division. What's 24? Okay. So I would like to make a motion to approve special use 180, site plan 131 with, the special performance standards. 1 through 25 with, an addition to number 22. Number 22 is a performance guarantee bond or satisfactory financial surety at the discretion of the planning commission shall be required to provide for tower removal and site reclamation. This will be conditioned on mutually agreed upon amount reviewed and approved by staff. Okay, and then we're gonna add number 26. Any future land division must come before the planning commission for approval. All right, that's my motion.
Is there support? I'll second it. Call it in, please.
Yes. Kilgore,
Yes.
Raring,
Yes.
Bittner,
Yes.
Denton. Okay. Gasper? Yes. Andre?
Yes.
You got Sandy, right? I think you got us all. There were 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't get that, sorry. Oh, that's right, this is good. Okay, it's been a long night already. Okay, got it. Yeah, it's been a long day.
Your best.
Ready,
Thank you, everybody.
you're welcome.
I'll be in touch.
We'll look forward to that coverage.
Drive safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Open up the floodgates.
You will give a few minutes for everybody to come and go.
Trying to get out.
I know the fire capacity. Sneaking around, I just call.
No, I don't. I do. But I think the board. And I'm helping out now with writing.
Sanitary city. I got it.
You're not sure.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Tied in the life.
Lots of seats, folks. Yeah, there's seats. Anyone wants a seat?
Why don't you sit right beside you?
There's three down here. Must be Churchill getting ready to start.
People quoting fire code.
I do want to something.
Carson, you can back up.
We're good.
All right, we'll call the meeting back to order here. Next up on the agenda is special use 181, site plan 132, proposed mining operation, Excel excavating at Patterson and Gackler. Jack, as I we talked to. Staff presentation.
Carson Galloway reached out to us from Excel Excavating. He purchased 76.7 acres at Patterson and Gackler. Acquiring the lake to establish a mining operation out of there for span purposes. According to him, there's gonna be no crushing going on. There's gonna be sand only. There's gonna be no material storage on site. Entrance exit's gonna be just up on Patterson. And your plan is what he has. I think, if I remember correctly, there's 10 sections that he's gonna do yearly, and basically, right there, that's what 10 projects he's hoping to have. Yeah, looking at a 10-year plan for that. We met with site plan committee, met with Todd Borman, our engineer, and went over a few things with Carson in that meeting. I know there's some questions that Todd had that we had that were addressed and taken care of. And then we have all this paperwork, all this drawings and stuff in here for the future of this plans and also throughout the duration of the mining operation.
Okay, Carson? Whoever's gonna present.
Commissioners, I'm Spence Gallo, Carson's dad. I'm just gonna make some general comments and then turn it over to him for all the technical stuff. So, my family and I have been in Thornapple Township for 32 years in the same house on the north end of Duncan Lake. We raised our kids here. We all went to Caledonia schools. My wife taught 5th grade in Caledonia for 25 years. We built our company here. All our employees live in this community. This community is very important to us. We support through our business, sports teams. We support FFA kids. We support a lot of fundraisers. Why am I telling you all this? Because we care about our community. We work hard to be good citizens. We work hard to be responsible. And I can stare you in the eye today and tell you, if we make a commitment and you approve our proposal, that we will honor that commitment. And I can say this to anybody in this room, if for some reason you think that we're not, you know where we live, we'll give you our phone number and we will make it right as soon as possible. We love this township. It's a township of lakes, a river, woods, hunting, but it's also clearly a farming community. And it's also clearly a mining community. That's why you guys have allowed mining in the agricultural zone, but especially this permit. There are at least 7 or 8 mines in Thornapple Township. There are 7 or 8 mines right adjacent in Layton Township. There's 7 or 8 mines in Gaines Township. For whatever reason, the geological area where this can support sand and gravel is right here. And it's largely in this township and Layton, and it's along the Patterson corridor. The demand for sand and gravel is growing exponentially. We've never seen the type of construction that we've had in this region in the 15 or 20 years we've been paying attention. And that has increased the demand for this aggregate. It's needed for everything. It's needed for roads, these bridges, schools, ponds, septic systems. Any building needs sand, needs gravel. It has to come from somewhere. The logical place to put it is along a truck route. There's only 2 truck routes in Thornapple Township, and then 37 in Patterson and Finkbeiner. So we bought this property with the intention of putting in a mine, and we will act responsibly. We ask for your approval on the project. I'll turn it over myself.
I'll stand to the side here if you don't mind. So I can do the presentation. My name is Carson Galloway. Who we are and what our goals are. Spencer and Carson Galloway, father and son. We're local residents ourselves, as my dad just explained. We're excavating contractors that support approximately 50 families. And we're community oriented. We are looking to responsibly harvest a resource we need for our jobs. As my dad mentioned, not only are the resources needed, the costs are continue to go up, just like anywhere else, and anything in all of our lives, the costs continue to go up. It's the same for sand. In this case, it's just sand. Our final product, our goal is to end up with something that fits the area and local needs. And we also want to complete the project in a responsible timeline. This is our final product vision. I want to be careful because we need to show the commission where we are trying to head, but a special land use is only for 2 years. We're only dry mining right now. or that's all that our request is right now, but we want to show you what our vision is or where we want to head with that responsible goal. 18 or less new homes around the outside. This is a rendering of these would be new homes along Gackler and along Patterson, and then a couple on the north end there. These are renderings of what's on Deer Run right now, just to try to give a visual. So there'd be no new streets, there'd be no new homes along Deer Run. They would not have to change their view looking out. They're still 12, this is the Thompson residence here. They're still 1,200 or more feet from the back of their houses to the Thompson residence. We're not cramming this full of houses. That's our goal. That's our final product vision. Each home would have a lot size of 1.5 acres or greater, or in many cases, much larger. Each home would be able to have a pole barn as long as they placed it properly and within code. No homes would be bordering Deer Run. It keeps a natural scenic view. Obviously not a field, but it would be across water for the existing residents. Deer and wildlife coming from the reserve, the natural reserve back here behind Deer Run would have an area they can access the water with no added construction in this area. There'd be no more farm chemicals or manure running off into the surrounding lakes or wetlands, including the wetlands behind Deer Run. The property is currently shaped like this. Everything runs off of it, especially when it rains. We would be creating more wetlands and wildlife features. Now, I'll get to that. Our plan, this is our sand mining plan. To be clear, we are only taking out sand. This is not a sand and gravel operation. There is not stone there. If we find any stone, our commitment is that we would haul it to a nearby pit that has the processing capability to process it so that there isn't any conveyors, no large vibrating impact type machines, no processing, no grading, no washing, no crushing on site. We're taking away all of that from what we want to do. It's allowed, we have the space for it. We're not going to do it. We're only doing bank run sand, taking the front end loader, going into the bank, putting it on the truck. It's not this very large, complex operation that you see on the southern pits about 3 miles south on Patterson with all the conveyors. We aren't even putting up piles. We're just loading it with loaders. There's no industrial use or buildings proposed. No large, complex clanging sorting machines. No material stackers, as I mentioned. We would be stripping the topsoil and overburden with ag type tractors and pans, agricultural tractors. We're gonna remove all the sand and load it with wheeled front end loaders. Not talking about, again, large tracked machines. You know, you have to use a dozer to shape the berms and such, but as far as the removal of the material, we're using a loader. The plan is to remove the sand to approximately 5 to 7 feet above the water table and work our way across, starting in this corner here. Work our way across. And then go back into the water table and go back, should we get the proper permitting at that time. This is the futuristic plan. This is the 2-year plan where we anticipate we likely would be. If you notice, we're only about third-ish across. All the things that we need to put in place to safely mine would be in place for the whole thing, but this is where we would be in about 2 years. This is the whole thing. Safety and nuisance mitigation measures. Some of these are required by the ordinance, some of them we are voluntarily offering. Most importantly, the entrance is up in the northwest corner, which is the furthest it can possibly be from a residence. It's about 1,200 feet from Chris Thompson's house here. It's about 900 feet from John Lombardo's rental house. And it's about 500 feet from 144th Street. So we're the farthest we can possibly be from the residents, and the residents from Deer Run, the farthest it can possibly be from them. There would be 0 truck traffic allowed on Jackler, 143rd or 144th. that would be, it already logically only makes sense that we would not be on those roads, but I'm also gonna make it part of our pit rules that are posted. There's 0 truck traffic allowed on Jackler, 143rd or 144th. This would actually likely create a scenario in which there's less truck traffic at Jackler and Patterson, because majority of the activity is to the north of us. We all know this, Caledonia is growing, the industrial, all the stuff happening up there. The trucks that are headed south on Patterson would already likely be heading south to go to the other pits. Instead, they're stopped short and we would sell them sand and or our own projects. Therefore, the trucks would not continue further south. Now, of course, if they're coming from Door, they're coming across on 142nd, then 141st, then Patterson. Coming from the east, they're using Fink Binder. These are all approved truck routes, all season routes. They're all allowed to run full loads 100% of the year. But we commit to only using the truck routes. We are proposing a paved asphalt entrance 250 feet into the site. I think the requirement is 200. We're gonna do 250. And then we're gonna put a stone mat. This is like a mud mat. This allows for the mud to shake off the tires before you get on the asphalt so that we do not track out. We'll also have a sweeper on site at all times to sweep the asphalt at the end of each day. Make sure we're not tracking out. All haul roads, this is one of the most important points of the whole presentation. All haul roads that are within the site, when you come off the paved, you gotta make a loop to load the trucks. All haul roads will be made out of asphalt millings, and then they would be treated with the same type of treatment that they put on gravel roads to keep them from getting dusty. They would be treated as much as they possibly need to avoid dust. If the treatment does not work, we will put in an underground type sprinkling system to sprinkle those roads during the time when it's not already wet down in the bottom of the pit floor. So if it's not raining, we would sprinkle those roads. Dust is obviously a major concern. That would be one of the only ways in which dust is going to be picked up is by the trucks when they're coming off the asphalt. So we're committing to treat those roads, and if that doesn't work, then we'll water them. Safety and nuisance mitigation measures continued. We are fully fencing the entire property all the way around the outside with a 1047 type farm fence. 1047 is 47 inches high, 10 millimeter thick farm wire. 47 inches is key because your average building code for a railing where you would trust children falling over would be 36 to 42 inches. This is higher than that. To each entrance for the farmer as well as for us would be gated and locked when not in use. We would be abiding by all township regulated hours of operations. We're gonna have cameras at our entrance so we know what trucks are coming in and out. And if there's a problem or we have somebody not following the rules, we know exactly who it is. We would be putting up 6 foot or more visual and dust and noise berms on the east and west sides of the property. All the township property line setbacks would be observed. This is another key point that we're volunteering, because I think it's just being good neighbors. All backup beepers on any equipment that is brought to this site to do any task will be swapped out from a normal beep to a white noise style backup beeper. That would be something like shh, shh, shh. Okay, so that doesn't carry. It's much less of a carrying noise. We all know how annoying backup beepers can be. We're gonna swap them all out with white noise. That is MSHA and OSHA approved. MSHA is the mining regulatory agency for Michigan. You are allowed to use those, and the exact reason is to avoid nuisance. We'll be working in a self-made hole with berms on the outside, which mitigates dust and sound. Again, when we get to a pit floor, we're roughly 25 feet deep, roughly. So we're gonna be down low, down in the bottom of the floor. All areas not being mined all areas not being mined will be actively farmed or restored with a cover crop. So this entire area, all the way across to about here, this first year will likely be in corn this year, minus the berms. And then we'll continue to farm whatever's not being mined. And then we'll restore the berms as we go. Part of the regulations is that we're only allowed to have 10 acres open at a time. We have to restore behind us. We have to seed everything that's not being actively used. This is our phasing plan. It's a little hard to read from across the room, but again, we're starting in the north section, working our way this way. We anticipate to being about line 4 here in 2 years. This is in line with I believe his name is Jeremy's house. This is the furthest north house in Deer Run. That's about where we'd be in 2 years. Work our way here. Then as long as all the permitting is in place, we'll work our way back out. Another thing we are doing, there is no regulation involving how long we can keep this operation in place. Our goal and our intention for the public and for everybody involved is to limit this to a 10-year plan. Houses, I can't dictate when they would be built, but the mining portion and the restoration and building what we hope to build, we are shooting for a 10-year plan. Now, I can't control if we have a recession, but right now things are strong and we have the ability to make that happen. That's our goal, likely through phase 4 of the 2-year mark, as I mentioned before. Community concern. One big one is silica dust. OSHA defines silica dust as a dust that is generated when materials containing crystalline silica, such as sand, concrete, rock, granite, mortar, and engineered stone, are taken from their natural state and cut, sawn, ground, drilled, or crushed. None of which we're doing. We are scooping the sand, loading the sand. We are not changing the contents of the sand. We're not crushing. We're not proposing any of that. The reason why that's important is because this is sand just like you see out on the west coast of Michigan at Silver Lake. I think if the natural sands held silica, we'd have a lot more health concerns on the lake shore as well as Silver Lake. We wouldn't be able to access freely. We're excavating bank run sand. None of the above practices are taking place. We are taking every precaution to mitigate dust. The existing farm fields in the whole area produce dust and chemical residue and manure smells. As we work our way out, that will not be in this parcel anymore, which is adjacent to Deer Run. Community concern, property values. This is a big one. You can talk to 3 realtors that say that during the mining operation that some properties might fall a little bit. And you can talk to a couple other realtors that also say properties will raise a little bit or hold steady. But one thing I can be sure of is that when we work our way through and create a natural pond that ensures 1,200 feet of space between your home and the next home that can ever be built because of a body of water or a natural open area, that will increase your property values because therefore you won't be able to there won't be able to be a bunch of packed homes in that area. The future water feature will be neighboring scenery. If you're selling, show potential buyers the plans and vision. The vision fits right in with Thornapple Township with surrounding natural scenery with larger lots. If you zoom out on the map, which we will in a second, this whole area is filled with farms and mining operations that work together. The aggregate, as my dad said, is naturally placed in this area and it's a necessary resource for all infrastructure. We are not proposing something out of touch with the public, such as apartments or mobile homes or a shooting range or a data center. All right. Community concern, wetlands and wells. There are no wetlands impacted or touched. We do have wetlands in the northwest corner of our property, all the way up in the corner. All of our operations are held back from that area and they will be silt fenced off. All the water as we dig falls in towards the mine. It does not flow out. There is no sludge, no nothing that can flow towards Duncan Lake or the wetlands behind Deer Run because we are creating a hole. We are creating an area that holds water. So we will hold the water from our own area naturally, although we're held to the same soil erosion standards that everybody is, that we're not allowed to let our dirt flow onto anybody else's property. There are no forests impacted or touched. There are several trees along the eastern border that are on our property. We are not touching a single tree. These hopefully will continue to isolate you as they grow, but we are not touching a single tree. This is a key point, and I want to make sure this is clear to the commission. All permitting for a pond larger than 5 acres must go through Eagle, which is Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. We will end up needing to get a hydrogeologic study, and a report will be needed to permit a large pond to ensure that there are no water table impacts. We can't get that study until we're closer to digging in the water, because they do not find that study to be valid until we are closer to wanting to pull the permit. The permit is good for 5 years and it can be renewed, but we aren't even likely going to be in the water for 5 years. So therefore, if we get a study done right now, it will be null and void and Eagle will not accept it. The reason why this is important is because we showed you these graphics and these renderings, which are goals. If that is not attainable, if Eagle or the hydrogeologic study does not allow for that big of a pond, it's roughly 32 acres in size. Our goal and our vision is then to make 3 or 4 4.9 acre ponds, which we are very much allowed to do in that open area, still maintaining that 1,200 foot distance from house to house with some walking trails or something in between. But the idea is to keep it as open, natural space that fits the community and continues to maintain that boundary. Our first and foremost goal is to get that big water feature, because I think personally that would look the best, but if it does not work, that's where we're gonna head. And we won't know that for a couple years until we get a little closer. Water tables fluctuate, right? One's gonna be valid now, one's not gonna be valid later. Another big point, if we do get that Eagle permit, Eagle requires us to be liable for any surrounding well issues if we are found to have caused issues with the water table. So you don't have to worry about your wells. If there is a problem, which part of Eagle's responsibility and the hydrogeological study is to ensure that we wouldn't cause problems. But if for some reason that happened, we would be held liable. That is part of the permit. Crooked hoof wells are between 250 and 350 feet deep. We're proposing to go a max depth from current height to bottom of pond, somewhere between 60 and 65 feet when we're all said and done. Likely not going to be a problem, but that's the facts. Comparative mining operations in Thornapple Township. Here's a pit on Finkbeiner between Cherry Valley and M37. There's some crushing that happens sometimes, once a year, once every other year. It's very close to this neighborhood, all along here. There are stacked piles. There's been 0 complaints with neighbors. The whole goal or the whole idea of showing you this is that these type of operations and neighborhoods can work in conjunction with each other, and they can function without major concern, as long as there's responsible operators. Another one, directly across the street, ironically owned by Berry County Road Commission. This is a pile of aggregate right next to a house. This is active mining. There's houses everywhere. This is eventually gonna be the RR district, which is one of the tighter home districts that is allowed. But there's an active pit right there. I bet you most people in this room didn't even know that these 2 pits even existed, because they are making sure it's not a nuisance. This is a little hard to see, I'm sure, but oh boy. That's nice. We're close to the end. I'll hold this up.
Is it okay?
Want to restart it?
Just restart the TV and then
While we're waiting. That's what we got. Mining and agriculture are prevalent in this area. Hopefully this restarts. There are 13 pits within about 5 miles of this area. Half of them located in Thornapple, half of them located in Layton, like we just mentioned. This is where the aggregate is. This is where it's needed. A lot of these resources are being depleted. We're looking to help with the lack of resources and also create something nice out of it. Almost every pit that is currently out there does not have a plan for restoration like we do. And therefore, something to think about. We're trying to make something nicer when we're done. And we're trying to solve, there is a housing problem. You can study anything. There is a housing problem, but more importantly, people that want to move south, they want larger tracts of land, and there's just not a lot of 1.5 to 3 acre lots that are available to build on. All of them are surrounded by all these pits, all 13 of these pits are surrounded by farmland and single-family homes. And they work in conjunction with each other. A lot of them, or all of them, are in A and AR zoning districts.
Try the HDMI. So,
Get this back. Can't believe you didn't warm up your TV, Phil.
I don't do the TV, that's Eric's job.
try to shut the TV off and back on again.
Wow.
For the record, it wasn't.
Actually, I do have my own projector.
How much already have to go first?
3 more slides, but they're pretty important.
Oh, what's that?
Person, why don't you just tell us what you were going to say without the slides, to save us some time?
Good point.
All right. What's likely going in if we do not mine sand? Hard to see. It's roughly 36 to 40 new homes with a road up the middle. 11 of them would be directly behind Crooked Hoof with their backs to their homes within about 200 feet plus, right in this region, right behind the existing homes. We'd be talking about 72 to 80 more cars per day, for every day, for the rest of our lives versus approximately 36, 18 times 2. There'd be a road heading directly towards Jim Baker's driveway, because that's just how it splits. Which I don't think is something he wants. And there would be construction noise and mess for years. Now, this is ironic that I talk about construction noise, but we all know how long it took Deer Run to build out. This could be a 25-year build out. You constantly have framing, concrete, and the whole 9 yards to build those out. And they're much, much closer to your homes. There'd be no nature left for the animals that are behind Crooked Hoof. There could be production type.
Also,
Production type, cracker box type homes. That could end up here. Back to my point, you got 11 homes right up against the Deer Run people. They can build anywhere on here, depending on how it's graded. You're right looking into the backyard of all these homes. They can be whatever they are, right? Whoever buys these, if Allen Edmund buys them or a custom builder buys them, whatever the case is, they are what they are. This does not fit the community, in my opinion, as it puts a giant neighborhood right on this corner. And it adds to the smaller lot nature. Without any of the natural scenery that we talked about before, or the open space that we talked about before. This is likely going in because if we can't mine sand, we have to recoup our money somehow. This land was not sold at farmable rates. We hope you see the long-term end value in this mining proposal. Again, this could end up being 3 or 4 smaller ponds with some sort of trails through the middle as an alternate if the permits don't happen, but this is our vision and we think it's very feasible based on the information that we have. In conclusion, we want to end up with something that fits Thornapple and provides new, nice locations for families to live with attractive amenities. We and the community need the resources, the sand, for our jobs, our homes, our drain fields, our driveways, the roads, everything. And we need it, and our employees need it for their livelihood, but we are trying to obtain them responsibly and respectfully. We are placing limitations and costly measures on ourselves above the requirements to end up with a nice end result. We commit to a responsive resolution of any operational deficiencies should they occur. We know that change is hard, but we want to be good neighbors. Thank you for your time.
That person. All right, yeah, exactly 8 o'clock, so we will open up the public comment period. And given the time frame, we are gonna hold the comments to 3 minutes. But I'm assuming that the majority of you are from development behind there. If you want to appoint one person to speak for all of you, you can do that as well. To cut down the time.
We would feel.
Okay, and if you would state your name and your address for, that would be great.
My name is Jordan Revokes. I live in Dearborn Estates. I'm one of the board members on our HOA board. I live at 5625 Caribou Court. I've lived in the township for 26 years and my family still resides on Duncan Lake. Roughly 19 years ago, the Thornapple Planning and Zoning Commission approved the Dearborn Estates HOA development. In that approval, you approved specific and rigorous bylaws into the master deed that have governed our beautiful development for almost 2 decades. During that time, 30 homes have been built by taxpaying families for Thornapple Township. These bylaws have governed our community and the HOA has worked tirelessly to help support and build one of the most beautiful and peaceful developments in the area. The HOA and our families strongly object to the proposal to allow a special land use permit to mine sand and disrupt over 75 persons' way of life. Our main concerns are dust and air quality, which is a high nuisance value, creating siting issues and health implications cited by multiple doctors in our area. The second is noise and vibration. Even with mining bank run sand, there's still the loading of trucks, running of loaders, and with the projection of a 10-year project, this will be nonstop noise and nuisance for our development. This mine will add more saturation to the sand market. Even if they're able to operate efficiently enough to load a gravel train every 34 minutes, the market is an unpredictable aspect they cannot control. This presents their 10-year timeline at best an oversight. Carson himself stated anything over 10 years I consider a nuisance. The third is environmental and water table impacts with increased turbidity or sediment, runoff into nearby streams, which includes Duncan Lake, and long-term land reclamation uncertainty. For our drain commissioner, all runoff of this property is likely to go into Duncan Lake, and I quote, "A sand pit near open water is never a good idea." The fourth is property values and marketability. From mines in the area, homes directly adjacent to or around saw a decrease in property values up to $100,000. Fifth is the industry perspective. Mining operations often emphasize compliance with state regulations, economic benefits, and eventual site reclamation. Site selection matters. With this in mind, the neighborhood has a concern with oversight of the mine. Per the OSHA website, Excel Excavation has the most OSHA violations out of 20 comparable excavation companies in the area. With this amount of violations, it suggests they do not have the oversight required to follow regulations and guidelines set forth by this township. If the township would approve this radical application, the damage and precedents would be set. Given that Excel Excavation's unethical messaging, their promises frankly have no recourse for accountability. For example, they have stated, and I quote, "Due to the agricultural zone, we have the right to mine. We do not need approval to put in homes. We could do this tomorrow." Another quote, they state, "If all your friends and neighbors think showing up to the hearing can stop this, they cannot stop it anymore as long as we comply with the rules." Per the master plan and the zoning laws in Thornapple, they're required to rezone for homes and are required to ask permission to mine. This is an overconfident and unethical statement to our community to convince community members to withhold their opposition. We thank you for your strong consideration to simply do the right thing and protect your citizens of Thornapple Township and Dearborn Estates and deny the special land use for proposed. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chad McNeil. I live at 12698 Stag's Lead in Middleville and Deer Run. I had a really long 3-minute peg to the T script, but I'm gonna kind of forego that because I just want to talk. The biggest risk that we face is every single person within our subdivision, that home is our home. That home is our biggest investment. It is part of our retirement plan. And you can put as much lipstick on that as you want and say it's gonna be like Lake Michigan out there, but that's not the reality. Because that's not an ink. When you have a legal binding agreement, at that point, you can hold somebody accountable. So you could say, hey, we're gonna put a landfill right next to your home. But eventually it's gonna be a ski resort. There's no proof of that because it's not binding. And being a builder, I know that range of depreciation, day one, is anywhere between 10% and 20% negative. So I want to ask you guys, right? We're all homeowners here. If you take your proposed value and you multiply that times 0.2, that's day one investment loss. That's unsustainable. That's appraisals, that's selling, that's your loan to value on your mortgages, that prohibits home equity lines of credit. First time home buyers don't have the ability. So you can put everything you want on it. I'd rather have a lake than other homes. I would, but that's not the truth. We don't know that. That's not in ink. And unless it's in ink, that's rubbish. That's rubbish. Because that could be a dream, that can be a goal, but it's not in ink. And I've learned, my grandfather told me, and I'll leave you guys with this. Making $1 off of another man's demise is not ethical. And that won't happen. That shouldn't happen. You have an obligation to protect us in this type of situation. Please protect us. Thank you.
My name is Preston Wills. I live at 5621 Caribou Court in the Deer Run community. Thank you to the Planning Commission for arranging this hearing and for being here tonight and for hearing from your fellow citizens. I'll open with one question for the board. Would you approve a mining and mineral extraction special land use application next to your house? My wife and I moved to Thornapple Township from Nashville, Tennessee 4 years ago. We moved here to build a family. We now have a 4-year-old little girl and a 1-year-old little boy. They are curious, energetic, and yes, sometimes a little sassy. We chose Thornapple Township, Middleville, and Deer Run intentionally. We wanted to live in a place that is peaceful, healthy, grounded in strong community values, away from the inner city and heavy industry, with great schools and a high quality of life. Those priorities align with the township's master plan and the vision this community has worked hard to uphold and protect. Several of the reasons we moved here are now at risk due to proposed mining and mineral extraction next door to our home. Thornapple Township has an incredible opportunity to be a prime, growing rural and suburban residential area of Greater Grand Rapids, where our beauty and way of life are preserved and strengthened. As our elected and appointed leaders, you are stewards of that future. Approving a mining operation deemed high nuisance by our own zoning ordinance directly next to a planned residential neighborhood, one this planning commission approved, sets the precedent that mineral extraction can be placed beside any neighborhood in Thornapple Township. Once that precedent exists, the barn doors will open. Every developed neighborhood becomes vulnerable. Every agriculture parcel that sells becomes a potential future mining site near our homes. The applicant may present best case renderings and long-term in-state outcomes a decade or more down the road. But the reality is that the impacts occur now. The noise, the dust, the truck traffic, the safety, health, environmental risk, and disruption of our daily lives. Deer Run Estates has worked hard to uphold our bylaws and maintain a 30% green space. We did what we were supposed to do to build and maintain a neighborhood consistent with the township's residential vision. There's also a reputational impact to the township. There is an immutable truth in marketing. Once an area becomes known in the mind of the people as a sand and gravel pit community, it will remain a sand and gravel pit community. Families deciding where to buy, build, and invest will look elsewhere. Had this mine been here, or even proposed 4 years ago, my wife and I would not have moved to Deer Run. And to be clear, I'm not against business. As a fellow entrepreneur and business owner, I support entrepreneurship, business development, and property rights. But I do not support building a business in a way that shifts the cost onto the hardworking backs of our neighbors. Thank you.
I promise you won't hear that sound with me. I'm not gonna read what I wrote. Good evening, my name is Mike Skipper. I've lived here my entire life. Hello. 5730 Crooked Hoof Trail. It's in the Deer Run development.
Thank you.
I've moved away a couple times, short term, college, worked a little bit in Washington DC, came back. Because I love this place, and this is where I raised my kids, and now my grandkids, and this is where I'll die. And the reason I came back is because Thornapple Township Middle has always chosen people over profits. Always. Now, I sat here years and years ago, so I know some of your decisions are tough ones. I submit this is definitely not a tough decision. Because your job and my job currently both have the same most important thing. Not creating bad precedent. Bad precedent is what you do not want to do in your position. Because once you create that precedent, once you say yes to this, and there's way too many maybes. It's all maybe, it's maybe this, it's maybe it'll go 10 years, maybe we'll do that. Well, we're gonna mitigate. Well, you don't have to mitigate something that's not a problem. You only mitigate things that are problems. Way too many maybes. But once you create this precedent, how do you say no legally? Jeff, how do you say no legally when the next person comes and wants to build sand and gravel next to one of the other many developments that almost all of them have some sort of cornfield or open space? How do you say no? And if you do say no, you're gonna get sued. This would set a horrible precedent, and that you cannot do. Thank you.
How's it going? I'm not gonna walk over there just because my legs don't work that great. Michael Gower, I have a home, 5106 Harvest Drive, just off Shad by Patterson and Finkbeiner. As my biggest problem or thought of it is that the air quality, the air pollution, everything that I can find. Granted, I know you say you're not gonna have like the screeners and stuff like that, but it's still gonna kick up a lot of dirt, a lot of dust. I know a lot of the things that we had kick up dust in Iraq all had that heavy metal stuff in there too. And now our government is paying out for the respiratory issues. Basically, in a nutshell, this is my forever home that was built where I'm living. And now, I guess with respiratory issues that I still have, now, I guess that's awesome. It can be 10 years, but in 10 years, I might not be here for that aspect of it because of a detrimental part of the respiratory issues. If I'd have known this would have been here earlier, I would have chose to have Homes Fire Troops build my house in Middleville. I would have chosen another location that I thought would have been healthier for myself, my family, and my family's family as it goes. So that's what I have to say.
I'm Ryan Martin, 4254 Patterson. So I grew up on 143rd Patterson, and since then Carol's moved in on my parents' road. My parents own 30 acres there, and 100 moved in probably better part of 20 years ago behind us. Since then, I've raised my family. I've had a lot of animals, lost them on Patterson, but it's the impact has been very low. I know it's a lot farther than 250 yards. But Hunterman now, I was told is going to be expanding. They just bought the Cackler farm. And there's going to be pits in our area. No one loves them. For me, looking across the road, I don't want to see a pit. I don't want to see 30 some houses. But the positive is, yes, I know it's a what if. It's a what if. That's where we do have to be a point to trust, the Galloways and just, I met him for the first time tonight. I talked to him the first time on the phone today. I'm very impressed on how they operate. I'm in the business, of excavating. I'm third generation. And, no, I've grown up around gravel pits. There's one in my backyard now in Carroll. And he's raised his family there too. And they actually have a washing, fully functional plant with washers, screeners. And honestly, the noise from the pit, I hear more from the cows from Dundalk Dairy of the crying of the cows and the backup beepers than I hear anything else. So just, I guess, put that in your guys' thought.
I'm James Baker. I live on 12861 Gackler Road. This is directly across the whole front of my yard. I'm the only house on the south side of the road. We see this field, 77 acres, to be destroyed, picked out of agriculture again. More agricultural land being lost. Yes, they made a pretty picture. I was enthused by a pretty picture until I found out more details. They're having a 10-year, they're saying 10 years. So I have to look at this for 10 years. I have to see it come toward me for 10 years. And then they're proposing to put 7 houses on Gackler Road directly across from me. Gonna ruin my view for the rest of my, or whoever owns how long I live there and the future. Carson mentioned manure runoff. It's amazing. They chisel all that manure in. We smell that manure for maybe 2-3 days, twice a year. Guess what? The Martins own, how many acres did you say your dad owned?
130.
130 acres. Same farmer runs that field and they chisel the manure in. We are not going to be eliminated from the smell of manure because it carries all the way across that 77 acre. So Deer Run is still, as long as the winds are out of the west, it's going to smell the manure. But it's only twice a year. Short window. That's okay. We can handle that. But what we don't want is to see this gradually go down 22 feet, 27 feet, whatever it's going to be, and then another 25-foot deep lake or pond. I stood in my front porch this morning and I looked out and I had his picture that he gave me and I looked at that. I said, what do I see? Houses. Am I gonna see that lake? Probably not. Does it interest me? No. Everybody talks about noise. You're gonna put this pond in. Let's say it's successful. What does that pond draw? Jet skis. Then I think my 3 minutes are up.
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Carol Burgess and I live on 143rd Avenue, across the street from Ryan Mark's parents. And I am a direct neighbor to Rocky Top Sand and Gravel. And I'm very good friends with the Huntermans. We have a very good relationship that goes back and forth with them. And I asked them many, many times for a plan and I've rarely get any sort of plan. And I've known Carson for probably 10 years or so. We go to church together and talk periodically. And when I had heard that he purchased this property, I asked him what his plan was and he said, we're developing it. And And then when I saw his, and he couldn't do anything with it because the crops were on it. And then when his iron was there, I asked him, I said, Carson, I see you got iron there. What's your plan? He said, we're developing it right now. I said, okay, well, when you know, let me know. He called me and he showed me what his plan was. And, far greater plan than I have ever seen from a direct neighbor of mine, of the Huntermans. And so I commend the Galloways for putting something together that is a future plan. But I guess what I'm also saying is me being a direct neighbor to what happens behind me, I'm gonna back what Ryan says. I hear more from the Dundalk farm than I do from what Huntermans do back behind my house there. And, the noise is not by any means a nuisance. And, I bought my property and then Huntermans bought their property. And if I wanted to, I should have bought that property if I didn't want that, but I couldn't afford it. And like anybody else says, if you like your view, you better buy it. And I heard that property, that 80 acres or whatever was going up for sale. And I thought, boy, if I really like my view, I better buy it. But I knew I couldn't. So I don't have any control over it. But I do know what I do view from somebody who was kitty cornered from that property, what's going to end up happening if that pond doesn't go in. There's gonna be a tremendous amount of car traffic that's gonna be going up and down my gravel road. That, if you want traffic, you want noise, you want a nuisance, live on a gravel road where you think that there's no noise, where you think that there's no dust. And that's all you live with, when the county rarely does any mitigation with the dust. So what is going to happen is, my complaint is, if I see a whole bunch of houses that go in there, I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be suffering fair amount, not Dearborn.
Jessica Grindike, my husband Mark Grindike. We live at 5575 Cricket Trail. This proposed mining operation is literally steps from our property line and where our fire pit sits. The bottom line is, I'm a realtor as well, and for property value and having a big fence that we're gonna look at when we're sitting right next to the fire pit that we put in there, it's not going to do any good for our property value or the health, able to open up our windows. And yes, it's a farmland right now, but like Jim said, it happens twice a year. We bought that knowing that is what it was. So just to have a mining operation, and I mean, do you guys want to buy my house and have your mining operation right in my backyard? I mean, please go ahead. I will sell it to you. We can work up a deal right now. Would you guys want to live there? I'm asking.
Address your.
Okay, so that's bottom line. I'm gonna leave everyone with that. Would you want to live with this in your backyard?
Any other comments?
Name is Mike Flaherman, 9582 Adams Road,
Can I spell your last name?
FLIEARMAN. So, Carson has been mining out of my backyard for the last 3 to 4 years. And it has been nothing but cordial. He has worked with us. He has tried to do everything that he says he would. If there's ever an issue, he's always been there to try to see it through. Now, from what I understand, that if he's not able to do this project, then they will be sold for houses and there'll be a bunch more houses on that property instead of something that sits out in front that's more scenic to see. So, I mean, that's the decision, because if something falls through on this, and then it will get moved again. And it will get bought by somebody who puts a bunch of houses in there. So I just want to let you know that all the promises that he has told me, it's been reliable. So that's all I have to say.
Anyone else?
I'm terrible at this, but my name is Erin Dyke. I live at 1.2742 Stag's Leap Court.
Could you spell your last name?
Dyke, G-E-I-K,
And what was your address again?
12742 Stag's Leap Court. My husband and I were the first ones to move into Deer Run Estate, and we moved from Kalamazoo. We found it interesting because it was not too far from Grand Rapids and something that we wanted because of nature but yet a development soon. And it's taken a little while, but we love our neighbors, we love our community. We love the fact that there is the preserve in the backyard. There's green space. We have lots of space. We certainly do not want, we love the farm next to us, but unfortunately that was bought. But to look in our backyard, we are the proposed area, the north end that Carson is saying that he would start at. We would be looking at a giant berm with a giant fence and then signs with no trespassing before his proposed promises of a lake or whatever he thinks. Now, I don't quite understand how you guys could at one time propose or let Deer Run happen with green space, preserve, and made a beautiful community out of it. And we love it. And thank you guys for doing that. And we just hope that, that you would have the same bylaws that you have had with ours, and that we don't have to look at 10 years of a mine possibly. And then before, he proposes how many houses, like Deer Run doesn't have that many houses. And we're a very quiet community and we enjoy the nature. I have deer and turkeys in my backyard every single day and I enjoy it so much, and it's going to disrupt that. We have ponds and water, and it's just going to be such a shame that, we would have never ever lived here either if that was a gravel pit or a giant, huge community either. I mean, we love the place that it's become, and we hope that you would uphold those same rules that you did for Deer Run. Thank you.
It took 10 years to develop Deer Run. Same thing.
And that was fine. It's
Good.
beautiful. We
And
love
this is gonna be beautiful too.
Let's,
That was during the recession.
No guarantee of that.
That was during.
Keep it
the same recession. We call it.
let's keep it.
Is he doing something?
Let's keep the comments between each other and at each other.
My name is Blaine Risen. I live at 2947 Dan Valley Drive, but I grew up, right on the corner of Duncan Lake Road and Jackler, and I know the area very well, and, we're in the industry, the trucking industry, so I spend pretty much every day in a gravel pit, one way or another. And, I've known Carson for a long time, and, it's tough because everybody makes the argument that what he shows up here is just, it's imaginary in a sense, but for what I have done for business with Carson and just, getting to know him as a stand-up guy, always good, true to his word. I live right across the street from Mike Fleerman, and I can attest that his, mining operation there is, he's held up every end of his deal. There was no problem with truck traffic right on our road. And I just, the sand issue, I don't think is stressed enough, and around this area for sure, that sand, the pits on Patterson are, getting mined out, and, as a result, we're having to go farther to get material and, truck it back, which, it's just getting tougher and tougher. And for all the business around here, sand is such a vital part of everything, for everybody's house, for everybody's drain field. even everybody in Deer Run. There was so much sand that went into the road, the septic systems, and everything involved in the whole process. So I just, like I say, Carson has been a awesome guy, stand-up guy, holding up his end of the deal with everything that I've done with him, and I hope that is considered in the decision. So thank you.
Turkey Cam 11235 Jackson Road. I too live right on the backside of all of the gravel pits on Patterson. And if I didn't drive south out of my road down Patterson, I would never know they're there. And there's a drainage between myself and the pits. And I can attest that has done zero to affect any turkey or deer. And I have a bunch of eaten trees and bushes right now to attest to that. Carson, thanks for the investment in our community. Seriously, it's a great plan. Everybody that has a home, you use sand and gravel to build your driveways, your foundations. We need it. It provides jobs. For everybody who says that they want to protect their retirement and their private property, that's exactly what Carson is doing. He's made an investment in his private property, his way of living for his own family and his employees. And who are we to deny him his rights to his property that we've done? And that's what I want to stress. People have talked about precedent that we're going to set about allowing gravel pits. What about the precedent that would be set to deny somebody how they can use what they rightfully own? Thank you. That's people.
We do it all, everybody.
It's on for, you've only had it for how long, 6 months?
Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing at 8:31. Carson, would you like to give you 3 minutes to respond? You don't have to, but.
I think we're all set. Thank you very much.
All right, as we deliberate, Jeff, would you just remind us of the standard that the planning commission is held to? As far as the law goes?
So when it comes to mineral extraction, and the planning commission knows this, when it comes to mineral extraction, there are actually both local laws, which is the zoning ordinance, and we have standards in the zoning ordinance, particularly chapter 19. There are both general standards that the planning commission has to look at in determining whether to allow this use or not. There are also specific standards for mineral extraction activities. In addition to that, in the case of mineral excavation, the state of Michigan has some specific statutes that come into play. And in a nutshell, what the state statute says is that the burden's on the township to some extent to establish that the mineral extraction activity would have very serious consequences. If the planning commission concludes based on real and substantial evidence that there would be very serious consequences to the adjacent properties, et cetera, those things are all spelled out in the statute, then they can deny it. But they have to be able to identify in the record what those very serious consequences are. It can't simply be, well, we think something may happen, or, et cetera. It has to be substantial. So those are the two things, the local and the state. The planning commission right now is being asked to review.
Thank you. Commissioner, questions for the applicant, comments?
Anybody actually? went
The
through
public
here?
comment is closed. So,
I did, write down two, and you actually answered one of them as you went further on, but, when you remove the soil overburden, are you hauling that away, or is that gonna create your berms so that you've got that when you need it to, do the restoration?
That is correct. Nothing at this time. Topsoil will be hauled away. That's part of, what we've committed to the township. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can you speak to the contractor that invited this?
We are not right now asking for a contractor. We don't intend to. We are not intending to bring in materials, or like I stated before, cross. Our staging per se would be limited to, what we would need for those loaders, something to mount the cameras to, likely a contained OSHA approved fuel cell for the loader, maybe a Connex box with some grease in it. That's it. There's no staging of material. We will haul in an extra plate to help make everything balance if it makes sense, but we're not bringing in foreign materials or doing anything else as far as the contractor yard goes.
What else? Okay, yeah. Brad, your comments?
Yeah, most of them have been touched one way or another. Berry County Road Commission will be reviewing the driveway. And they'll need a permit from them. There are a number of items in my letter in which, we are recommending, the plan should show the drive down to the base of the pit, for example. There are, the details of the proposed truck tire wash. These are things that I'd like to see in a further review. And it could be made a condition of the approval, for example. And some timing suggestions in terms of mining in relation to the burn on that type of thing. So, I did provide some, proposed conditions that can be used as a sort of a template, but, when is mining going to be, pursued in relation to the berm construction, that type of thing can be, I guess, modified by the planning commission. But, yeah, a lot of it is, how is this going to proceed? What, during our oversight, what are the things that we're gonna be looking for components? I think the idea of the hydrogeologic study in relation to the pond is established, but that is something that in working with the applicant prior to this meeting, what is it gonna look like in 2 years compared to what the future plan is? It's important to know what we're permitting during this 2-year cycle. Right. Performance bond recommended of $6,000 per acre. It's kind of what we've been requiring of the area mine sites. And I don't believe there's anything else in my letter of importance.
Carson, in Todd's question, are you gonna burn the whole property first?
The intention is to berm the east and west sides based on the site plan. Those berms would go up right before the sand is being pulled out.
Okay.
The reason why it's the east and west and not the south is because we would like to actively farm the remaining parcel. And once we start berming off the south, which is relatively flat, we're not even encroaching within, I believe it's like 600, 500 feet above the south line. You put a berm there, we're really starting to take away the ability to even farm the rest of it. And since we're starting on the far north end that has a natural berm there, you can't see it from the south side. We're creating a hole. You won't be able to see anything going on. So the berms are on the site plan on the east and the west sides. We intend to berm before we start mining.
For the full length.
Correct. Something should be asked of Chris Thompson if he really wants that little tiny berm on the Patterson south of his house for the next few years before we even get to that area, but I mean, we can put it there and you know, it is what it is. It's just a visual block. I just kind of wanted to be cognizant of him too. Since that mining would not be down by him for a little bit.
This berm on the east side though, you're gonna run that the
Full length, yep.
right off, right initially is what the plan would be.
I'm sorry, said he
Initially, what your plan would be on the east.
run the whole thing, yeah. Noise, keep the noise, dust, heat.
No tree destruction. No.
Yeah, held off. Same thing with the fence, held off the tree line, the trees that are on our side.
Yep.
Any questions?
We've heard a lot of information tonight. Some passionate residents. Some supportive colleagues. Workers, partners. And this is a big deal because it is near a residence, but as someone who lives on a road that is right behind a gravel pit on Jackson Road, there's less interruption for us from the mines than it is from the farming of the fields right around us. I hear what Jeff is reminding us of, that we have to, the burden is on us to establish that the mining would have very serious consequences. And I'm not sure what those would be. In the past, we've had to allow the mining where it was because that's where the mineral was. And so I'm kind of struggling here with which direction to go. I don't know what the serious consequences would be for us to stop this. I have to say that the plan that Carson presented tonight, with even having an end plan for reclamation and restoration, is more than I can recall ever seeing in 25 years here on this planning commission. And so that means a lot, but there's a lot of foresight, and it's not, we're just gonna gut this chunk of property and leave it a mess. That speaks a lot for what they see as a neighbor of the property as well.
I believe that with the investment that they have made into this piece of property already, if it doesn't go to a pit, it's gonna go to those homes that he's talking about. It's happening in Thurmapple Township. We're all seeing it, what's going on. So it's kind of pick poison, I'm afraid. There is no great solution. And from what you
But like you said, she's right. We've seen a lot that it doesn't have a good end to it. If this has to happen, I gotta say, it's one of the better ones we have seen come across from us. The Hall Road, I don't believe you're gonna have any more truck traffic than you are already looking at on Patterson. They're either just gonna go a different direction, but it's still the same trucks hauling the same material. But you're right, it is a new backyard. And then the cost of the property, what else would you do if you bought it? You gotta do something with it. You can't farm it. He can't farm it for what they paid for it.
Are you asking us, sir?
So sign an agreement that guarantees in 10 years it will be developed, because there's no guarantees. So 10 years I gravel, sand it, that goes in 10 years. Have him sign it. Have him make an agreement that in 10 years he will do that. Because you're right.
The public comment is over.
But then don't ask the public.
Seemed like he was asking.
Come on now.
Just a suggestion.
I was gonna follow up. It's not unusual in case of mining uses to have some type of development agreement that would specify very clearly what the requirements are that gets recorded against the property. So to the extent planning commission is looking for some level of assurance in terms of what you're buying, if you're inclined to approve, we could certainly at a subsequent meeting bring something forward for your consideration, if that's what the planning commission is interested in. We've done it in numerous circumstances in the past.
I like that idea.
I do too, but I find it hard to believe that there could be a time frame because you don't know what the, you know,
The reality.
I'm sorry?
No, how much mineral is in there that they can extract. And what happens with a lot of the mines that are to the south of us. There's so much mineral that they're gonna go on forever. I've heard that there's gonna be a lake in Gorgeous Homes on the Layton side, the Allegan County side, and I've been here for 35 years, and I've been hearing that for 35 years.
Exactly.
But it's a huge piece of property. We're talking about a very small piece of property here with limited resources, with an expiration date. It's so would we need to hold off on making a decision and request this condition of a development agreement?
If that's something the planning commission's interested in. Yeah, I would not recommend trying to sit here now and work out all the details of something.
Okay.
If that's what you're inclined for. And it's not a commitment to make a decision, it's simply something to look at.
Something to add to the conditions that we have.
To your decision making.
I think we look at that. And then
Do you have samples?
Mhm.
How quickly could that be drawn?
2 weeks. I would recommend that we probably want to sit down with the applicant too, obviously.
yes.
Well, then I would like to make a motion. Do we need to table this then?
Yeah, if that's what you're inclined to do, I'd recommend tabling, you can even postpone to your next meeting, if that's what you're inclined to do.
Okay.
Will we be able to come back and listen to your township meeting when
They're public. You can come back anytime you want. Yeah.
Come on, just be nice.
Well, I'm just saying they're public. So you're welcome back.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Oh, no, they're open to the public, so you can come anytime, any meeting,
Every month.
every month if you want.
The fourth Monday of the month, please.
No, you're welcome to come back.
Okay.
Uh,
Will it be in the paper that you're having this meeting? I mean, the agenda? So where you're gonna be talking about this?
If it's not, we will not be having a public hearing, so it won't be noticed in the paper. But the agenda is put online.
On the township website.
Yeah, it's on the township website.
Okay. The meetings are held the fourth Monday of the month.
So, and the agendas are on the township website.
Okay. Thank you.
If for some odd reason there's nothing on the agenda, which obviously there'll be something on the agenda, but the notice involves proposals. Nothing on the agenda, the meeting is canceled.
Something you're willing to entertain, Kirk?
Yes.
Okay.
Then I'd like to make a motion that we take special use 181, site plan 132, and table this until our meeting on March 23. And then also, at that time, review a conditional development agreement for discussion and making our decision. There,
That does sound fair.
okay. So that's my motion.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Yes. Wandry,
Yes.
Gasper,
Yes.
St. Minor,
Yes.
Waring, yes, Kilgore.
Yes. Okay, you guys can hang around so we can talk about some dates and times to get together. That'd be great. Give them a minute to clear out. Before we move on to Now. Next one. During the comment period, or you guys can do a decision. I think he's in. For the next meeting, I guess. I mean, we cannot make any decisions outside of this. Everything is back on the. You guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, we got a little bit of business we have to finish up yet.
Oh, last hour or what?
Oh, you stay, you're welcome to stay. You got a couple quick things to get through here.
You got one that escaped.
If you're hanging, if you're gonna hang around, have a seat, we've got some business to go through yet. If you're not hanging around, then we need you to step out so we can continue on. The newer one. Okay, just to update everyone on the Cornerstone development on Whitney Hill Road. We are going to go back to the developer and ask them to request conditional rezoning of the property RE, which would make the site plan that they have for Kent. That area is zoned rural residential, so it's a residential area. And actually be even going to RE zoning, allowing the size lots that they're proposing, we would have bigger lots than if they went to our open space plan. So, I think it makes sense to do that.
That in our future land use plan? Mapping,
It's just, future land use is
It's
residential.
just residential.
strictly residential.
Yeah, and so if that makes sense.
I don't have that in front of me.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we would get a better product rezoning it to RE than what we would if we made them do it as a open space development with smaller lots. So that's where we're at right now. So, but the process, they need to come to us to make that request. And so Jeff is gonna reach out to their attorney and kind of get that ball rolling. So that's where we are at with that. Ordinance committee report, we continue to work on, the rework of the entire ordinance, coming along good. What did we say, June? Might have everything
I
wrapped
think,
up.
I think we're close.
So, but that process is going well. As I mentioned before, it's actually been kind of fun, so.
Ryan
Welcome
has so
back.
much fun.
He admitted that he had fun. It was a good.
Do we have a new date?
Yeah,
We can get that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You put something together, you make them.
and you're welcome to step in anytime, Brian.
All right, site plan committee, anything else to? And you want to bring us up to date on GPA? Linda?
well, the meeting that we hoped to have, this past week was, canceled because we were not able to have all the parties there. So, Phil and I are gonna start over and, see if we can get the right parties involved and get everybody there, hopefully sometime in March.
Corner, February, looking this year.
All right, administrators report, anything from Phil?
I think, we received the first zoning compliance form today that we've got for the month of February, and it was actually for approval.
I wish that they.
Been quiet on permits coming in. We did have a lady that put up a accessory building, and they went out to do the final inspection on it and discovered that she had living quarters. Adam called me and we talked about that, and we both had conversations with her, and she did give me some letters from the Attorney General's office. She kind of got screwed over by a contractor, and basically taken for 80 grand. And in the process, she felt it was better off to make living quarters and just get rid of the house on the property, just because of the work that we're gonna need, instead of just having that with an accessory building. So she's going through the permitted process to get everything proper and legal. She's not evading any of us. She's not hiding anything. She's been seemingly forthcoming with, said she forwarded me all her paperwork from the Attorney General, just so we believe her story. And so we know that she was being honest about all this stuff. So, I've not seen her paperwork coming yet, but this has all been taking place just tail end of last year. Middle of last week, Tuesday, Wednesday last week, so. Code enforcement, there's been really nothing. I've had nothing since the last two noise complaints in January, but nothing more out of those residents. So I'm hoping that problem is taken care of.
We have some that are outstanding, though. Some from your activity report.
From this year, or is it from?
Well, I think past ones, are they all closed?
I do believe it. I'll double check.
Okay, all right.
I might have missed one or two, put them checked on the box there.
Okay.
I know there's some, we did have some kind of waiting to see if they took care of themselves, so to speak.
Then they should probably stay on the,
And that might be why they're still open. I'm not sure what
Okay.
you're specifically referring to, but I'll take a look at them.
all right.
All right. Commissioner comments. Good one.
In the in our Sun News on February 7, there was an obituary. And I looked at the face, I didn't recognize the face, but I recognized the name, Jack Spencer.
Yeah.
103. He was I think, one of the original members of the planning commission. And he was on when I joined, and, he was very detail oriented. Just like me, he was very detail oriented. But when he retired from the planning commission, we missed his detail. He was an exceptional member of this body, and I didn't want a meeting to go by without recognizing him for all he did for our township.
He did Mulberry Hill and Denver Road, didn't he, while he was part of the?
Mhm.
Is that what you mean, think?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it.
Any other comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second? No second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Alrighty, and we have to turn in our time sheets to, Bill. So you can give them to Kathy.
Is there an amendment? Leaving for